Hey everyone, it is Sunday, March 11th, 2018, and welcome back to Finance and Crypto, a fresh news source for the latest news, trends, and updates in the space so you are always in the know. I'm your host, Rose J. So guys, today I want to go over with you guys a few articles that piqued my interest when I went over them. Two of them are coming from CoinDesk. You can see the first one here. It says, Tennessee, new legislation prevents crypto retirement funds while legalizing blockchain. The second one is actually down here, and it says cryptocurrencies versus banks. Advantage of decentralized financial systems. The last one is going to be coming from the Economics Collapse blog with Michael Schneider, which states that the Washington Post ominously warns that Bitcoin is being used for extremist groups. Okay, so let's get started. Now guys, this first article here that definitely caught my attention, it just seemed to be an oxymoron just by reading the title. New legislation prevents crypto retirement funds while legalizing blockchain. So let's dig into this one a little bit. It says, two identical bills in Tennessee have been put forth to prevent retirement funds from investing in cryptocurrencies. Two more that legalize blockchain use for the electronic transactions are also working their way through the House of Representatives and the Senate, according to legislative tracking site Legiscan. So, furthermore, it says House Bill 2093, introduced on January 30th, 2018 by Republican Representative Michael Curcio, proposed prohibiting the trustees of any defined contribution plan or related investment vehicle established as a health benefit by the state insurance company from investing in any cryptocurrency. Now, I'm going to just stop there. As I stated previously, there has to be, one has to think to themselves that why would it be okay for the government to invest in a blockchain technology smart contract system, but the public sector, which most of us work in, our companies are not able to utilize that same technology to utilize as an investment vehicle? That doesn't make much sense. I mean, it's obviously good enough for the government, so why isn't it good enough for the people? I just don't understand that. However, this article clearly points out the contradiction and how our bureaucrats, politicians, and how our governments operate in terms of, keeping all the resources for them and then providing the bits of crumbs for the people, which is why I always say, you always have to try to do for yourself. Don't be one of those people who are looking for handouts or looking for the government to offer you anything, because they don't offer you anything but the crumbs. So I just wanted to touch base on that shortly, and just to give you guys a little insight about this. This actually was written by Molly Jane Zuckerman. I thought she did a great job, and I would invite you guys to read the rest of this article, and I'll put the link in the description below so you guys do have the chance to do that. Now, the second article that I wanted to go through, obviously, which is the main point of this actual podcast, which is cryptocurrencies versus banks. And banks are just used they're used as the overall name right now, but it's not just banks. It's cryptocurrencies versus establishment versus institution versus all of the status quo, figures that basically run, every major part or every major facet of society. Blockchain and cryptocurrencies and this distributive ledger technology wants to disrupt all of this. And in this article here, we're talking mainly about the financial system. So right here in this article, Cryptocurrencies versus Banks by Joseph Young, he starts off by saying decentralized cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum have a strong advantage over centralized financial systems, primarily because of their ability to function and operate without a single point of failure, which hackers and bad actors can target. On February 19th, Jameson Lopp, The lead engineer at multi-signature blockchain security firm BitGo noted that during a holiday in the U.S., local banks closed down, failing to provide financial services to individuals and businesses that could be in urgent need of financial settlement services to process payments. That's huge. Today is a holiday in America. The banks and markets are closed. Meanwhile, Bitcoin soldiers on with over 1 billion transmitted and 7 billion trades per that day. Meanwhile, if we scroll down here, it says Bitcoin as a peer-to-peer settlement system was able to process over 1 billion worth of transactions and more than 700 billion worth in Bitcoin being traded in a single day. Regardless of the holidays and weekends, users of Bitcoins and cryptocurrencies like Ether can freely transact on a peer-to-peer basis through the utilization of wallets. Guys, this is huge. I mean, just think about if you were in a situation where you needed cash immediately, and it just turns out that you didn't have the cash on hand, and you had to go to the bank, and something happened, and the bank was closed. If that's the case, you're not, and the ATMs are down, you're not able to use the bank. I mean, you can go to the ATM machine, but the banks are closed for a holiday. They're having system or technical financial issues, and you can't utilize their system. Now, if you flip that, and you were using Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Vertcoin, or any of the other major cryptocurrencies, you can easily transmit your transactions through Bitcoin by getting a wallet address from where it needs to go, and having that wallet address, your private key, having that wallet address in your possession, where you could then send that value from wherever it's at to wherever it needs to go, and vice versa. Not being able to, I guess I should say, not having to rely on a third party to transact in commerce is probably one of the best things that's ever happened to our society, and it's only going to take a matter of time till people actually realize that. And this isn't the only example. When you go down here, he actually puts down a real world event that took place late last year. It says here, late last year, Saudi Arabia billionaire, and this is a great one. Saudi Arabia billionaire Prince Al Wahid bin Talal was arrested by the government of Mohammed bin Salman, who was expected to take control over Saudi Arabia and become its ruler. As the most powerful figure in the Middle East, the government of Salman initiated an anti-corruption purge against 11 Saudi princes and 200 businessmen. Now, at the time, the Wall Street Journal reported that the government of Saudi Arabia had asked for $6 billion for freedom for bin Talal, who was garnered a net worth of $25 billion. And the most ironic thing about this is, earlier in the year, bin Talal, who was actually making fun of Bitcoin, said that Bitcoin was Enron in the making. He said, this is quote, "It just doesn't make sense. This thing is not regulated. It's not under control." He says it's not regulated. It's not under control. It's not under the supervision of any central bank. I just don't believe in this Bitcoin thing. I think it's just going to implode one day. I think this is Enron in the making. This is what he told CNBC Squawk Box. Now, he said Bitcoin was no good because there's no central government, no central bank. And then a week later, the central bank and central government rips all of his net worth during that purge. If at that time he had a portion, let's just say 5 or 10% of his net worth in Bitcoin, he wouldn't have that problem. He literally is the poster child for why a peer-to-peer networking payment system is absolutely crucial in today's day and age. I mean, if governments have the power and the ability to just freeze your accounts and freeze your banking, if something were to happen and there was a misunderstanding and they freeze your accounts and they freeze your ability to transact in commerce, at that point, what can you do? I mean, you're at the mercy of the government. A peer-to-peer networking payment system makes a lot of sense in 2018. And I really thought this article highlighted some of the important factors and why this is really needed. So cryptocurrencies versus banks, yeah, the battle is still ongoing, but I'm ready for it, guys. All right, so the last one is going to be the Economics Collapse blog. Michael Snyder, of course, one of my favorite guys. And this one, obviously, this is a little bit older article, but I thought it was important just because the news and the FUD that we always hear. It says the Washington Post ominously warns that Bitcoin is being used by extremist groups. Haven't we heard this before? But just to go on, he says demonization is the first step towards making something illegal. Over the past couple of months, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies have experienced a tremendous surge in popularity. Personally, I was completely floored the other day when my nephew wanted to ask me questions about investing in Bitcoin. It seems like the whole world is getting caught up in the cryptocurrency revelation. And needless to say, the powers that be cannot be thrilled about this. Independently controlled, cryptocurrencies represent an existential threat to the global debt-based central banking system that we have today. And so the elite have a very strong incentive to bring about the demise of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So it's no surprise that one key mouthpiece for the elite, the Washington Post, has begun to demonize Bitcoin. And if you're going to demonize something, one of the fastest way to do that is to link it with racist and I guess incendiary comments by people. The following is excerpt from the article that the Post just published, entitled "Bitcoin's Boom is a Boom for Extremist Groups." Even before Charlottesville, Richard Spencer, a prominent member of the alt-right, a group that espouses racist, anti-Semitic, and sexist views and seeks whites-only state, had gone as far as declaring Bitcoin the currency of the alt-right. But far-right political leaders and experts on extremist movements alike say that the adoption of Bitcoin gained new urgency after Charlottesville, and extremists looked for ways to operate beyond the reach of government control and the shifting of policies of U.S. companies. For those, end quote right there, for those of us that are accustomed to thinking critically, we see right through what the Washington Post is trying to do. The Bitcoin phenomenon has absolutely nothing to do with Richard Spencer and his ilk, but every time the liberal elite want to demonize someone or something, they trot out their favorite boogeyman once again. Just like every other currency, Bitcoin can be used for good purposes and for bad purposes. The Washington Post article would have us believe that Bitcoin is at the core of some great racist conspiracy that is about to take America by storm. Now I'm going to stop there. I mean, he's clearly right. For us to not use our heads or think critically and to just assume that because someone uses Bitcoin for nefarious purposes means everyone uses Bitcoin for nefarious purposes, it just doesn't make any sense. If you think about it logically, most illegal activity that is being taken place right now is done by cash. So if the majority, I would say, I think the number is 90%. I could be wrong. I believe it's 90% money laundering, whether it's drug deals, whether it's all illegal transactions that are accounted for. I believe it's 90%. They're done by cash. So for the Washington Post to think that it's right to actually paint Bitcoin users and Bitcoin enthusiasts all under the same umbrella of people who are committing crimes and people who just want to engage in nefarious activities, I just think it's false. And I think it's something that when we see it, we should point it out, and when we see it, we should definitely point out all the positives and all of the good things and all the optimistic things that Bitcoin and blockchain can actually do for society, not the negative. So I thought this article was pretty pointed. I thought it was introspective, and I thought it's something that we should definitely keep in mind, so that way when we see these things come up, we read them, we make sure we interpret them properly, and then we use our own judgment through critical thinking to decipher exactly what they're trying to say.